Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today. I'm Lawrence Pressman, back from 4 days hiatus, and we've got a great lineup today. Lots of actionable betting information. Bryan Leonard, right off the bat, he's going to talk Minnesota at Washington, MLB, and then he's going to continue in baseball with Detroit and Kansas City. Ross Benjamin will be joining us. He's got two baseball bets as well, the Red Sox and the Rays, the Cardinals and the Orioles, and we end the show with Andy Lang, some prop bets for us, including one on the Pacer game one. Teddy covers his big game breakdown, and I'm told he's going to make fun of me about the Dead show that we went to. Can't wait to hear that. Anyway, Bryan Leonard, let's go, baby. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. I was very surprised when I saw a picture of Teddy at the Dead show. I didn't realize he was much of a fan of the Grateful Dead, but I'm glad you guys got to enjoy that night out.
You didn't know Teddy was a fan of the Grateful Dead?
I didn't think he was old enough to be a fan of the Grateful Dead.
Oh, Bryan with a joke and a shave. Teddy, you want to respond to that?
It was an old crowd, Bri, for sure. You know, the millennials were few and far between in that one, so I fit right in. But yeah, I'll make fun of Prez in just a few moments. But let's start with some actionable info. Obviously, it is today, Monday. Nothing going on in the NBA. Only one NHL game for tonight. So baseball certainly on center stage this evening. You want to start with the Twins and the Washington Nationals, Bryan, a team that you came on this show prior to the season and said there is value with the Nats. They're better than the markets think. You were dead right with that prediction. Are we going to roll with the Nats today, or are they a team to bet against?
Yeah, two teams here that are off some losing streaks. Washington, I believe, has lost 5 in a row. Minnesota's lost 6 in a row. Minnesota's been extremely streaky on the season. They started the year terrible. Then they got on that long winning streak, win like 12 in a row, and now they're losing again. The offense has scored 9 combined runs in those 6 defeats. They've been outscored 14-1 to the Yankees in that 3-game series. Then they failed to win a single game against their chief division rival, Cleveland. Pablo Lopez has had a very good season so far, a 28.7 to 4.0 strikeout to walk ratio, and his expected ERA is only 2.88. But the back of this bullpen has been a concern as Duran has blown back-to-back saves, including a walk-off homer last night in Cleveland. With the Twins' offense struggling, there's no way we can lay this number on the road here. Washington, as I mentioned, they were just swept in Philadelphia, so things are not rosy for the Nationals either. But we do like the way Mitchell Parker has started his MLB career. He has a 3.09 ERA, 1.13 whip thus far, and we've always liked to back young lefties in their initial runs. A lot of times you can get a good streak of 4 or 5 starts here where you get some value. For some reason, lefties, as a rookie, are much better to back than righties are. And we've seen enough of those so far this season that we've noticed that this is a situation, once again, for some reason, an unknown lefty seems to have a lot of success. And obviously, when these two teams play in different leagues, Minnesota doesn't know anything about Parker in this one. But when looking at his game logs for Parker, we see this. He's already faced the quality offenses of the Dodgers, the Astros, the Rangers, and the Orioles. In those games, he's gone 23 innings, and he's allowed only 7 earned. So he's pitched very well against quality opposition thus far. Now he takes on a Minnesota team that has struggled offensively for most of the year. And as I mentioned earlier, they are really struggling right now. All the back-end relievers for the Nationals bullpen are available to pitch tonight. I like Washington. I like this price. Washington gets the victory as a nice underdog here.
So certainly when you look at who they've played in recent weeks, I mean, where Minnesota is coming off series against Boston, Seattle, Toronto, the Yankees, Cleveland in their last 5. This is, compared to those teams, something of a step down in class. Do you worry that after playing a bunch of step-up games and not necessarily faring as well as they should, that this is a spot where they're stepping down a little bit in class and, in theory, going to get back on track in this
they are
mid favorites road or mid road
Yep.
favorite price range.
Yeah, they are stepping down in class a little bit, but some of the teams they play, Cleveland has been amazing to me because if you take a look at their roster, they should not be this good. In fact, I bet them under season wins before the season started, so they've been a little bit of a surprise. Boston's a 500 ball club. The Yankees struggled early, but they are playing well right now. So yes, it is a step down in class, but I don't think it's going to be a step down from a pitching class because this Washington starter, as I mentioned, has had a lot of success against good hitting teams. And so we'll take Washington in this one. But I understand your situation that they are playing a lesser team. But Washington's playing a lesser team compared to some of the other teams that they face too. So I think there's still plenty of value on Washington here.
Bryan Leonard joining us, everyone. Bryan, Slow Jams Arsenault. He's in the chat room every day. He writes, Bryan's getting kind of long-winded like Marco. Just for the record, I don't feel that way. I think Bryan's the least long-winded out of most people. And nobody wants to be compared to Marco, right, Bryan? I mean, let's say it.
I've talked to Marco about that for years because he's got a lot of good information. Even though he's not here, I think we can compare Trig to the same situation. He seems to be a little bit long-winded. But you do get good information. But I try to get in and out as soon as possible because I know you got a lot of other guys on here that want a handicap. And this next write-up won't be quite as long as the previous one.
I didn't feel like that one was long, Bryan. I thought it was spectacular. Okay, so we got Kansas City tonight. They're playing Detroit. Fascinating game. You got this pitcher, Detroit, Reese Olson, 4 earned runs in 5 starts. Some of those starts, last start he pitched 8 innings, 0 earned runs, still got the loss. This guy is 0-5 and pitching lights out baseball right now. Where are we going in this game?
Yeah, you mentioned Olson. Detroit's got such a good pitching staff. They've had guys, they were considered their elite prospects, and they can't even make the rotation. We're getting spot starts out of them, but they have really good starting pitching. In fact, we like their starting stats on both of these clubs, and they both went out and brought in starting pitchers who could take advantage of their home ballparks, which is smart. It's something you should be doing. These are the best 2 stadiums in suppressing home runs. And considering neither team has major offensive home run talent, it's been a great decision in the early going to get pitchers who don't give up home runs. You mentioned Reese Olson. He's really come into his own this year. Only once all season has he permitted more than 2 earned runs to any opponent, and that was 6 weeks ago. In his last 6 starts, Olson has allowed 5 earned runs in 37 1/3 innings. He has been terrific. I've liked this guy all along, and his control is even better this year. He's got a bright future for the Detroit Tigers here. Michael Wacha is also a guy that I think is always a little bit underrated. He's an extreme fly ball pitcher as he has aged. The last 5 years, his launch angle has been higher than league average. League average is 12.2 degrees. His launch angle has been higher than that every single season for the last 5 years. So he is, he does have the ability to give up home runs. Well, pitching in Kansas City really fits this guy here. I like pitchers who give up home runs, but they play in stadiums that don't allow a lot of home runs, so it means a lot of fly balls. And that helps him, and that helps Wacha and the Kansas City Royals here. His advance shows he's an excellent velocity and hard hit rate, so he keeps the opposition off balance, which is why I like him here. I like the under in this game. I'm surprised it's as high as it's been based on Olson's success and the stadium that Wacha is pitching in. I think we see an old-fashioned 3-2 game here, and I will take the under, either 8.5 at plus money or 9 minus 120.
And that's what I want to ask you about, Bryan. All right, what's the better bet here? Do we take the under 9 at minus 125 is what I'm seeing right now, minus 122 at DraftKings. Let's use a proper U.S. book. So 9 under 22 at DraftKings right now, or 8.5 under plus 103 you can find. What's the better bet and why?
It's 1 cent differential. It's about 18 cents is the differential, and you're getting 19 cents there. Shop around, you might be able to get a little bit better. I always prefer to take the 9 because if we've watched Steve Merrill enough, we know his favorite numbers in Major League Baseball are 7s and 9s, and that's because it's an odd number. So you don't see too many games ending at 6 and 8. So, I would prefer the -9, -120. But if you can get like a +105 on the 8.5, I'd rather play that. That's better than 18 cents. And that's the way we would take a look at this one.
Bryan Leonard, everyone. And guys, what Bryan was saying was so important. And I think if you listen to the show on a regular basis, the in between the lines information that we give out is more important than who's going to win or lose on a particular day. Brian, basically, to summarize what you're saying, the difference between 8.5 and 9 from a total perspective to the under is 18 cents. If you can get, it cheaper than that, that will put you over on one spot. If it's more expensive, over on another spot.
Yeah, there's a lot of great gambling books out there. I would recommend a lot of them. It'll tell you what the numbers are for each single number. In fact, you can use that for football too. When you take a line of -3, -2.5, something like that, you always want to know exactly what it's worth. It's somewhat differential based on the total in the game, but baseball lines are all in the same total anyway for the most part. But when you're looking at an NFL game and you got a total of 37 compared to 56, it makes a little bit of a difference. So, if you know what the numbers are, you could save a penny or two on each bet you make, and in the long run, that'll really help.
So, Brian, just real quick, is there a book in particular that you would recommend to our viewing audience that stands out? I know there's a lot of books on my shelf. There's a lot of books on your shelf. When it comes to understanding MLB prices, what book would you recommend?
I always like Trading Bases by Joe Pita. He does a little bit on there about handicapping baseball, also something for the stock market. But there's a lot of great ones out there. And unfortunately, I've got so many books up there, I can't spot them right now. Sharp Sports Betting's been out 20, 30 years. The numbers aren't going to be exactly right, but it gives you the idea. And then you can always search for it on the internet.
Bryan Leonard, what do you got to promote?
I've got nothing. The only 2 plays that I like today were the ones I've given out here, and so you get those for free. Tomorrow I am taking a look at an NBA game, and obviously tomorrow will be a fuller slate in Major League Baseball. So looking forward to tomorrow, but I think we got a couple winners on today's card.
And what Brian meant to say is check out my long-term packages over at WagerTalk.com, wt.buzz/BL. You can get Brian weekly, monthly, seasonal. MLB is one of his best sports. You can get it right now at WagerTalk.com. Lawrence?
Teddy, before we get into what did Bettors learn, which supposedly you're making fun of me at a dead show, which isn't hard to do, but, I don't know what you're going to say. But before we get into that, I have a couple of things to say. Firstly, I went away, and again, I ended up kicking ass for my clients. I do not understand how every single trip I make ends up being like a lot of winners. Yesterday, I won both my NBA games. I'm now on a 13-1 NBA run. I'm number one at WagerTalk in the NBA playoffs. It makes no sense to me why every time I go on a trip, I end up kicking ass betting-wise. It's baffling. If anyone has an idea on how that happens, literally 100 out of 100 times, I'm curious. I have a lot to talk. I have a lot to say. Not a lot, but I want to say what I thought about the Sphere and the Dead shows. But you go ahead, man. Let's hear what you got going. How are you going to make fun of me?
It's so easy, Prez. So Prez and I are at the Dead Friday night with our wives. Well, he's not married, so with his long-term significant other. And the Sphere is ridiculously cool. Okay, it's worthy of the hype. But still, it's a band in front of a screen. and a band that I've seen before, a band Prez has seen dozens of times before. And Prez, of course, is the alchemist.
75 times.
Exactly. You've seen them before. You're the alchemist, Prez, there with his drug. I'll take this now. It'll kick in 45 minutes. I'll take this later so it kicks in for the second set. He was hilarious. It's a no-smoking venue at the Sphere. Not for Prez, it wasn't. But there were two things of note that absolutely cracked me up. The first is Prez stealing seats. All right. And I understand. When the concert first got announced, everyone was rushing to get tickets. Prez got obstructed view. He's like, all right, if we can, we'll move. So how do you steal seats at a concert? First, you find some pretty good seats that nobody's taken. You quietly take them. You don't talk about it. What does Prez do? Prez literally finds the best seats in the house that are open.
Literally.
Front row, first balcony, right there. And then spends the entire first half of the concert repeatedly checking to see whether the seats were sold yet, over and over and over again, and making backup plans. And what are we going to do with it? And it's like, Lawrence, settle down, bro. You stole your seats. Just sit down, shut up, and relax. But he biting his nails. What are we going to do? Making backup plans. Okay. Fine. But we ended up being able to stay there the whole concert. Great. Awesome. Seat upgrade. Second, Prez, look, it's the Dead. I get it. Jamming, best concert ever. And I liked it. Look, Shakedown Street, U.S. Blues, Morning Dew all stood out to me. They were wonderful, enjoyable. But I've seen it before. It was good. It was fun. Prez, oh my God, best concert ever, best night ever, best song ever, best version ever. All hyperbole all the time. Just like on this show. Lawrence, thanks for taking me. Truly enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. That being said, you're about an easiest guy to make fun of as there is in the world. And so you were very make funnable of throughout the Dead shows on Friday night.
Okay, so couple of things. Firstly, I stopped checking the seats to see if they were sold after the first song. Secondly, boom! We got the best seats in the house because Prez knows how to steal seats. Thirdly, it was the best ice cream, the best coffee, the best dinner, the best night of sex, the best this. I live in the world where things are the best ever. And you know what, Teddy? The joke is on the people who don't. Bonus to me that every day I experience something that's the best ever. Bonus to me that my 76th Dead show was the best ever, and my 75th was the best ever, and my 74th was the best ever. I feel sad for people who don't experience such incredible highs. As well, this concept of seen it, done it, been there. Dude, from my perspective, I consider going to the Dead a spiritual experience. I feel like one of those ladies at a gospel church on Sunday who is, got God flowing through her body. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that freaking awesome? And lastly, while I was dancing and enjoying myself at the Dead show, I would like to give you guys a demonstration of Teddy at a Dead show for 4 hours. Are you ready? Here it is. 3, 2, 1.
I'll take the under 4 hours.
4 hours. Now, I did notice that you tapped your index finger on your leg a couple of times. That was impressive. Ross Benjamin joining us, everyone. Oh, Ross, welcome to the show. Ross, I got to tell you, I didn't get to say this, dude. The Sphere is the greatest venue ever. It is mind-blowing. Yes, Nick, I did mushrooms, not with Teddy, though. I did mushrooms the night before. Ross, you have to go to the Dead show or any show at the Sphere. I mean, I prefer you go to the Dead show. You'll actually find yourself young in the crowd there. It's the most mind-blowing venue. There's no words to describe it. The videos don't do justice. And I would have liked to have shared it with someone who didn't do this for 4 hours. How are you, my friend?
A lot better now than it was 10 minutes ago. Yeah, I have a golden rule. I've had it since my mid-20s, guys. And it's never to take anything seriously that comes out of a person's mouth. It's for the next 7 days after they attended a Grateful Dead show. But you know what? I'm going to make an exception to the rule for you guys because obviously it sounds like you guys had a great time. And I'm glad you were able to straighten that whole thing out at the airport about Teddy picking you up because it sounds like everything got smooth over from that point on.
Yeah.
Note what Ross was saying there at the airport, which is exactly what we talked about, Lawrence, which you claimed you never said, and then we couldn't find the replay.
Yeah, well, find the replay and prove to me.
He was here on. Why would he say at the airport? He was here listening on the show. Ross, let's talk about some MLB for today. I'm in action on the side. You're in action on the total. Let's talk about it. Rays and Red Sox. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. Money pouring in on the under. There were 8s last night. There are 7s right now on the WagerTalk live odds screen. Basically a pick'em game, 7.5 juice to the under at other books. So it's a split line right now. What do you want to do with Tampa and Boston?
Yeah, I'm going to, a ton of money coming in on the under. It depends on where you're looking. The source that I use in those money and volume of bet splits shows me the opposite, but that's okay. It's whatever you want to interpret it as. But Tanner Houck, 9 starts this year for the Red Sox, and he's been very good. 2.33 ERA, 102 WHIP, averaging 6.4 innings pitched per start. And that's always important to me, Teddy. I mean, the guy's got a good ERA, he's got a great WHIP, and he's averaging over 6 innings pitched per start. And why do I say that? Because you're less dependent on the bullpen. Now, Boston's bullpen has struggled of late, okay? But overall, on the road this season, 2.91 ERA, 124 WHIP, and drastically different when they pitch at home at hitter-friendly Fenway Park. Boston's offense, 11-3 win yesterday. So they woke up offensively at St. Louis. But here's the thing, 11-1 to the under in their last 12 off a win, 8-0 to the under in their last 8 off a win. In those 8 games, average a combined 6 runs per game, 10-2 under in their last 12 after allowing 3 runs or less in their previous game. On the other side of the coin, we got Taj Bradley for the Tampa Bay Rays. He's made only 2 starts this year coming off the injured list, and both of them were in the last 10 days. And he was pretty sharp in those 2 starts with a 2.45 ERA and a 1.00 WHIP. Tampa Bay's bullpen struggled early on, but it seems like they're finding their stride right now, Teddy. Over their last 7 games, an 0.71 ERA, 0.71 WHIP as a staff. Now, the pundits will say, well, Ross, Boston's gone over the total in the last 4 games, and that would be true. But prior to that, let's not forget, this is a Red Sox team that went 14-1 to the under in their previous 15 games prior to this 4-0 overrun. 11 runs scored yesterday was the highest run total of the year for the Boston Red Sox. So I believe that's more of an aberration than a reality. And Tampa Bay off a 5-2 loss to Toronto yesterday. It's the 20th time this year in 48 games, Teddy, that Tampa Bay has been held to 2 runs or less. That's 41.7% of the time. And against a solid starting pitcher like Tanner Houck, I like the chances of that possibly hitting the 2-3 run range, if that. And I'm going to go under the total here, Teddy. I'm going Red Sox Rays under 7.5.
So I've got 2 questions for you here, Ross. I'm going to ask the first one because the first one's not a true follow-up. But I want to ask your opinion about this because it was the very first thing you talked about. When I'm talking about where the money's flowing, I'm talking about the lines that are moving, not the consensus figures. And the consensus figures show us very clearly, the lines moving tell us the sharp money has come for the under for this ball game. It's poured in on the under for this ball game, which certainly speaks to what you are saying with 7/7.5, the prevailing number right now off an opener that was 8 last night. You were talking about consensus numbers versus actual lines moving. And in my mind, they're completely different things. Do you see that the same way?
I'm not sure exactly what you're implying. Could you be more specific, Teddy, in terms of
sure. Well, so when the markets move,
right.
when the market when a total goes from 8 to 7 or 7.5,
right,
that's sharp money moving the number. When the public's on one side or the other, those are consensus numbers. It doesn't move the number. It's, in my mind, is largely irrelevant.
Yeah, and that's why I look. Yeah, it's a loaded question again, and most of your questions.
That's all I got,
loaded.
Ross.
Yeah, but that's okay. When I say loaded, I mean that in a respectful manner because it's well thought out, and there's several different ways to answer that question. I would be more concerned if the public was all over the under and the money was all over the under and the under moved from 8 to 7.5. That's number one. And I'm not sure I'm answering this exactly the way you wanted to answer, but I'm going to do the best I can.
Who cares?
Yeah. Well, again, there's a discernible difference to me when I'm identifying sharp money. I'm looking at if a total in baseball goes from 8 to 7.5, and the majority of the public is on, in terms of volume of bets, is on the over, and the majority is on the under. That to me deems to be sharp money. I mean, it's just reverse action, Teddy. It's something we learned early on in our careers, right? So that's the best I can answer that question. At the end of the day, that's just one part of the equation that I look at. If I don't like the play, or I don't like the game, or I love the play, I don't let that affect me nearly as much as others do.
Ross,
sure. You answered the question. That's fine.
Everyone. Okay, Teddy, enough.
No, I have a second follow here, Lawrence. Don't be grumpy because you're hungover.
I'm not hungover. I don't even drink.
You partied all weekend, drink or not. Tanner Houck coming off a career high. I think he threw 112 pitches last time. It's not a season high. That's a career high for Houck against this same team. Do you worry about a short turnaround second look against a hurler who just threw the most pitches he's ever thrown in his big league career?
Well, I mean, if he was in, let's put it this way, if his starts before that over the long haul hadn't indicated that he could put together an effort like that, I would be more concerned. But the fact of the matter is yes, he won 112 pitches, which is very high by major league standards, modern day major league standards anyway. But his ERA and his consistency throughout the course of the season leads me to believe that he's getting stronger as the season progresses. So it's always concern when you see pitchers throw that many pitches, Teddy, of course. But I'd be more concerned if that was a great effort if you throw 112 pitches, chances are you've thrown a pretty decent game in a manager's eyes to keep you in that long. So I'd be more concerned prior to that effort if he was very inconsistent or this was just an aberration, a outing that wasn't the norm for him, or he was pitching way above his head in terms of statistically. So that's the best I can answer that question. And even if he comes in and gives up 2 earned runs and throws 90 pitches, and they pull him early based on the fact that he was then you got a bullpen that's pitched very well on the road. So
Ross Benjamin. Ross, before we continue with your other pick, lots of hot streaks going on with you, like always. Kicking ass in the NBA since 2002, 64% win rate in the NBA, and on and on and on. If you guys want to read all of Ross's streaks, head over to Sports Memo. Very, very impressive sports bettor. I do want to make mention, somebody in the chat room, Brandon. Thank you, by the way, Brandon, for joining us in the chat room. And guys, if you like what you're hearing, take a second out of your day and hit that like button, please. Subscribe to our channel. We're picking up about 1,000 subscribers a week, which is outstanding. I'm really appreciative of that. But I do want to address something that Brandon said, and maybe Ross and Teddy, you want to have a go as well. Brandon writes he doesn't like betting the WNBA because he hates getting stuck watching the games. And the first thing that came to my mind, Teddy, was a couple of years ago, I bought a few hundred bars of platinum. I haven't looked at them ever. Like, they sit in a safety deposit box. Like, I don't stare at my investments. I got stock. I don't show up to the company and be like, yo, I must see what's going on 24/7. I have never watched a company that I've bought stock in, ever. I don't stare at my platinum. You all know I have Bitcoin. I don't even know where to look. Where is my Bitcoin? It's not even a thing. I don't understand what you're saying, Brandon. I'm a little confused. Why would you need to watch the game? This is about investing money to make money. I don't understand your point at all. So you would rather bet on something that has a chance of losing, more likely chance of losing, if you can watch the game. But if you can't watch the game, you don't want to bet at all. I'm baffled. Teddy, Ross, do you want to add anything to that?
Teddy, go ahead, and then I'll respond.
No. People are going to bet what they want to bet. Yeah, Ross, go.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to bet WNBA. Don't bet WNBA.
Well, no, that's not the point. The point is, why do you need to watch it?
Yeah.
Like, we're investors.
So
financial.
This
advisors.
much I've learned is that you're not going to convince anyone of anything. All right,
I know,
people have their opinions. They have what they want. They don't have what they want. You're not going to talk. You're not going to convince anyone in politics. You're not going to convince anyone in religion. You're not going to convince anyone in sports betting. It's just how it is. If he doesn't want to bet and WNBA, don't bet WNBA. I don't bet WNBA, but I do agree with Lawrence's point. Watching the games, just like this, the Japanese baseball, the Korean baseball that these guys bet and have success with. You're not watching those games necessarily at 3:00 in the morning, but they win with it. So if that's the way you want to invest, by all means, take advantage. That's all I get to say, Ross.
Yeah, back in the early days, before the advent of all these streaming services, I know, and that goes back, right, Prez? When I say early days, it goes back a long way.
Before the advent of cards.
Yeah, just after the Civil War, actually. But in any event, there was a time when games were just on regular ABC, NBC, CBS back in the archaic days. And one of the biggest faults for sports bettors back then is they only bet on games that were on television, and you take away the whole board. So as handicappers, I learned a long time ago, I'm not that powerful. For me to watch a game and think that I'm going to have it's going to affect any way in which I win or lose is ridiculous to think. Okay. Yeah. Just because you bet on it doesn't mean that you have to watch it. Okay. And if you can find, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Ross. Finish.
Yeah.
Because I got a point after.
Yeah. And, Prez, if you find somebody in the WNBA on our sites, I'm not the guy for the WNBA. I can't speak for you two guys. But if you find somebody on WagerTalk TV, on WagerTalk, or even Sports Memo that's very good in the WNBA, I say this: follow their advice. Why do you have to watch the game? If you invest in a stock, do you watch the stock board all night?
Just stare at the stock.
Yeah,
like Eddie at a Dead show. So Ross and Teddy, and I know we're running out of time, but this is a really great topic. Brandon writes, the same Brandon, he writes, well, it's hard to handicap unless you're watching. two quick things. One, you've already handicapped. So I assume you're talking about it's hard to handicap the next game if you're not watching. So a couple of things. Firstly, you don't watch every single game. And secondly, most recreational, if not all recreational bettors are consistent losers. What is the one thing they all have in common? They watch the games.
Yes.
Perhaps not watching the games is the way to go, because when you watch the games, you get caught up in the moment of that game. And hey, how many times does a team blow out somebody in game 4 only to get blown out again in game 5? Ross, let's move on, bro.
If I could just interject, that's a great point. The NBA playoffs are a perfect example of people overreacting what they just saw, and sometimes I'll tell you, I watch games a lot more so because I do programs like this and I want to be well informed of what I'm talking about on an intelligent level. But when I handicap, I'm a numbers guy. Okay. So I don't have to watch tape. I don't have to watch the game to come up with my conclusion. I'm the Antichrist. I'm more of a contrarian type of mindset. So I don't, sometimes you let things influence you in the world of sports betting that you just witnessed the day before, and that's a cardinal sin.
There we go. Topic over, unless Andy Lang, when he comes on, wants to add something. Ross, Cardinals against the Royals. I'll just get to it. How do we handicap this game?
Yeah, it's the Cardinals and the Baltimore Orioles, and the game takes place at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Here's the thing. I just talked about the contrarian approach, Teddy. And you got a Baltimore team that's 29-15, St. Louis 20-26. There's a 10-game difference in the standings between these two teams. A Baltimore team that's 12-5 on the road, a St. Louis team that's 8-12 at home. Yet it's St. Louis that comes up as a favorite. They're begging you to take the underdog Baltimore Orioles in this spot. And when it looks too good in sports betting, more times than not it is. And I'm not taking the bait here. Sonny Gray. Yeah, here's the other thing. Sonny Gray, the starter for St. Louis, terrible in his last 2 starts, right? Allowed 5 earned runs, 6 earned runs, but both of those are on the road. Sonny Gray at home this year in 3 starts, an 0.98 ERA, an 0.82 whip, averaging over 6 innings pitched per start, and his strikeout to walk ratio this year is 52-8. So you're going to have to earn it against Sonny Gray. And number 2, with that type of strikeout to walk ratio in which he's averaging over a strikeout per innings pitched, he's well equipped to get out of jams. St. Louis's last 7 games. Now, let me preface this by saying St. Louis was one of the worst hitting teams in baseball up until a week ago. But over the last 7 games, 6.1 runs per game, 302 team batting average, 376 team on base percentage. First 39 games this year, they hit 28 home runs. Last 7 games, they've hit 10 home runs. So again, they're coming on offensively a little bit. And I think anybody with a half a mind to watch this baseball knows St. Louis, some of their key players were well underachieving, and they're starting to come around, namely the Paul Goldschmidts and Nolan Arenados of the world. Baltimore, Dean Kramer's on the mound. He's been very good this year. But I mentioned St. Louis on that little hot run of 10 home runs over the last 7 games. If Kramer has a weakness this year, he's very vulnerable to giving up the long ball. He's allowed 9 home runs in 46 innings pitched. Not very good. He did make 1 start versus the Cardinals last year. And then in that start, he allowed 5 earned runs and 4 in the 3rd innings pitched, 7 hits, 4 walks. Not a good outing at all. I'm going to, again, I think I'm going to be on an island here, Teddy, but I'm going to go with St. Louis here, minus 120 over the Baltimore Orioles.
Ross Benjamin says, don't worry about Sonny Gray's last 2 starts. Look at his season to get a sense of what Sonny Gray is capable of doing, especially at home. Ross, what do you have to promote for your clients right now?
Yeah, I mean, again, folks, number 1 in the NBA playoffs at Sports Memo 2022, 2023, number 1 still. And again, with a 35-16 postseason record this year. And I'm not sure how good that is compared to Prez, who's number one at WagerTalk, but I'm sure we're in the same neighborhood. And also, in the last 3 years, Prez said 64%, 112 and 64, folks. And by our grading system at Sports Memo and WagerTalk, I'm up 19,100 units during that time. So when the games matter the most in the NBA, I've been locked in, and I've been cashing at a regular rate. Major League Baseball, since August 4th of last year, I'm out of 70 and 51, 58%, but up 5,049 units, $49 for a 3-day pass, $79 for a 7-day pass. Do the math, folks. Even you small bettors out there could afford that. Even Prez, who comes back from a weekend in which he spent over $25,000, he could afford that.
Yeah. Good one.
Check me out. SM.buzz/RB.
Ross Benjamin, awesome work. Thank you, my brother. Teddy, no, I'm kidding. Guys, real quick, Teddy's big game breakdown on the way. Andy Lang still to come, and Andy is such a pro. He could do his entire segment in 47 seconds. Teddy, I got a big NHL bet going tonight. Guys, haven't had a 4% bet in 10 days. I'm on a 17-1 run. 17 wins, 1 loss in my last 18 4% bets. That's incredible. It's on Game 7, the Oilers and the Canucks. Head over to WagerTalk and grab that play. Brother, it's time for your big game breakdown.
Big game breakdown for Monday. Let's talk the Rays and the Red Sox in Tampa. And this is a line, it's a head scratcher for me, flat out. Two teams head in opposite directions. Tampa's 11-5 their last 16. Boston is 5-11 in their last 16. So the Rays, much better current form than the Red Sox. From a starting pitching standpoint in this one, on the one side, talked about earlier in the show how Tanner Houck is coming off his highest pitch count of his career. Didn't make it through 6 innings, by the way. And now it's short turnaround second look for Tampa against a guy coming off his career high pitch count, 112 last time out. Meanwhile, on the other side of the equation, for Boston, for Tampa, it's Taj Bradley, who's been 2 starts back off the DL. Boy, he's been impressive thus far. Bet on all the way. We look at Boston's track record at the Trop. They're 2-15 the last 2 years playing on this venue. It's been a disaster for them. We look at the current forms of these lineups. Tampa's got the better current form right now. Tampa's owned the series. Tampa has a starting pitching edge. Tampa's in better current form. Pick them. Count me in. Rays, -105. There's a bet for this better for Monday. Lawrence, back to you.
Teddy, Andy Lang joining us. And Andy, thanks for co-hosting on Friday, the day I had to watch Teddy at a dead show. Anyway, Andy Lang, you're going to be on a bunch this week. You're going to be on a bunch all the time moving forward. Popular demand has required it. Let's get straight into it. You got 2 prop bets. One is on Reid Detmers. Fill us in.
Yeah, we'll take a look at his over 2.5 earned runs allowed. He's gone over in 5 straight games. He's really struggling, giving up 4, 5, 7, 6, and 4 in those games, just facing a brutal Astros team that's won 9 out of their last 11 games. The Astros scored 56 runs in their last 11 games. Some of the Astros batters have really good history against them, and Detmers has pitched at least 5 innings in every start, so they leave him out there. So he's getting plenty of opportunities to get lit up. It's not pitching his best baseball of the season, so I like over 2.5 earned runs allowed.
And what kind of juice is with that? Because it feels to me like that should be like -300. You know.
Yeah, it's
I don't know anyone that likes.
minus.
I don't know. I haven't talked to any person that likes the Angels or Detmers today. Clearly, when a guy's been, he's been lit up repeatedly. He's facing a hot lineup. How on earth is that 2.5?
I don't know. It's minus 160. To me, that's perfectly fine laying that. I've had success laying this kind of juice in NHL. We did it last night in NBA. We took Mike Conley over 2.5 rebounds. It was minus 160. He cashed it in the first half. So minus 160 sounds like a lot of juice. Not if the plays are hitting. So it may sound juicy to some. To me, it sounds like a bargain.
There you go. Brother, the Indiana Pacers. This is a team that has been exquisite to me. I took them. I have been taking their team total over every game last series. I was doing it either in the full game or the first half. Yesterday, I had them in the first half. Over 52.5. 70. Boom. Where are we going with this one for tomorrow?
Just take the over again. 105.5. Went over in 6 out of 7 games against the Knicks. 10 out of 13 in playoff games. The regular season, they finished the regular season going over this total in 18 out of the last 21 games. Number 1 offensive rated team in the playoffs. Number 1 scoring team this season. 123 points average per game. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I know Boston's much more healthy. Even though without Porzingis, they're still a really good defensive team. I think it's a play you just keep playing over.
And I want to ask you this real quick, because, I mean, at this stage, I'm not looking at anything with the regular. I could care less what the matchups were, just for the purpose of being able to talk about it on air, I went and looked. But does anything for the regular season matter to you at this stage? I mean, any of it? Or is it, I mean, you talked about it just now. So, tell me about your thoughts at this stage of the postseason when we're looking at regular season numbers.
Does it really matter? No. Did it give me a third talking point that backs up my angle? Yes. So that's why I talked. I didn't bring up the head-to-head matchups because they were all before we got Pascal Siakam. Like some of the players weren't playing. So those head-to-head matchups. Yeah, I'm from Indianapolis. It's a team effort.
Oh, fair enough. I love Andy Lang, part of the Indiana Pacers. Andy, we love having you on the show. You're going to be doing another guest appearance this week. What do you got to promote for the clients?
Debuted a new show on the WagerTalk YouTube. Yeah, so we're doing a show called Props and Parlays today. It's all about props and about parlays and parlay pieces. Cross-sport parlays have been great to us over the years, so we really want to focus on those props and parlays. So first episode went up. We went over a couple of MLB and NHL player props, and then we built a cross-sport parlay. We talked about how we're taking some of these higher juice plays, taking advantage of and building these parlays. They are all over the place every single day.
Who are you doing it with?
We walk through me. I'm just
so
doing
when
it
you
with
say
me.
when you say we, you're referring to yourself.
Well, the production team behind the back end, like Chris Allen, the great Chris Allen, and Kyle and Lexi does all of our thumbnails and stuff. So it's me on camera, but the team has come together. The great John Holland and Johnny helped come up with this. So we really need to focus on props and parlays every single day. So that's what we're doing over at the WagerTalk YouTube channel. So we should be good to go Monday through Friday.
I'm excited for you, Andy. I mean, obviously, I bring you on the show pretty close to more than any other guest. I do that for a reason. You're one of the best bettors I know, and you do great work on air.
You do it because I can get through my picks in 2 minutes. That's why you bring me on here. You put me at the end of the show because I can blow through my picks.
Well, that's just part of your professionalism, brother. Andy Lang, 1/10 of Ross Benjamin. Thanks, my friend. We'll see you. I think Friday's your next one?
Yeah, Friday we should be on there. We've got a really nice promo code up. I am gonna throw up my promo code. We debuted it on the prop show. Promo code PROPS30 for 30% off a 30-day pass. Listen, we're 22-12 the last 7 days, 19-9 the last 3 days. Had a really nice PGA championship. Teddy, I was hoping you would do a What Did Bettors Learn What happens when you take a golfer to finish in the top 5 and he gets arrested on the way to the golf course? I have lost some golf plays in my day. I have never lost one with a guy getting arrested on his way to a golf course.
He shot a 66 that day.
Yeah, but he talked about it. His adrenaline was pumping. He was good to go. The next day, he was exhausted with everything. That was
Right.
The next day was when his energy left him, and he still finished like 8th. So he didn't win the tournament, but you could argue it was the best performance. But anyway, promo code props30, 30% off a 30-day pass. That's important because the French Open is coming up. Tennis tournament. The qualifiers are this week, so we're gearing up, ready for that. So all sports, all plays, including 5% plays, are included. Andy Lang, WagerTalk.com.
Brilliant stuff. Andy Lang, everybody. Guys, real quick, let's do a 1-minute penalty box segment, but we're going back to calling it the Daily Presidential Address soon. It's such a better name. Plus, it's baseball today. Okay, guys, welcome to the penalty box with me, the Prez. I got one baseball bet to give out. Before I get into that, a reminder to everybody, I have not had a 4% bet in 10 days. I have one tonight in hockey. I am on a 17-1 run in this 4% plays. 17-1 run. I also have a 3% bet in baseball. I'm on a 39-17 run in my 3% or higher plays. So guys, great night. I'm also going to see Neil Young with Crazy Horse tonight in Toronto. Excited about that. Okay, free and MLB play. Yankees are going for their 8th straight win. And who do they get to face? Logan Gilbert. The Yankees bats are on fire right now. And Logan Gilbert, well, he can't seem to get a Yankee out. 7.79 ERA against the Yankees over his last 4 starts. The last time he pitched at Yankee Stadium, he gave up 6 runs, 3 home runs, and 4 walks in 5 1/3 innings. This is a perfect spot to not only bet on the Yankees, but to bet against Seattle. Take the Yankees tonight, small money line price of -130 as they go for their 8th straight win. That's it. Teddy covers. Take us home.
Enjoy the games. Best of luck with your wagers. We'll see you tomorrow again with another edition of Wager Talk Today.